A lot of ancient story and a lot of what we call primitive story, though perhaps that's the wrong word, tries to explain about creation. The creation perhaps of the universe, or the creation of us as human beings. And in Australian Aboriginal culture, they have lovely, wonderful stories about how all the different animals were created. And this is a story about how the sand frog got his name. And the sand frog, from the name, is a frog that spends all its daytime buried in the sand and only comes out at night to take a drink. This is how it came by its name. There was once quite an ordinary frog who spoke just like every other frog. And one day that frog became thirsty, and he went to the pond, and he started to drink. And he drank, and he drank, and he drank. And as he drank, he got bigger, and bigger, and bigger. And he drank until he drained that pond dry. And all the other animals, the kangaroos and the emus and the dingo dogs, they all said, "Hey, frog, don't be so greedy. We need water too." But the frog just said, and went plopping on his way, until he came to a river, where he drank, and he drank, and he drank. And as he drank, he became bigger, and bigger, and bigger. And all the little tadpoles, and all the dragonflies, and all the little river folk said, "Hey, frog, don't be so greedy. We need water too." But the frog just said, and went plopping on his way, until he came to a great big lake. And he was still thirsty. So he drank, and he drank, and he drank. And he got bigger, and bigger, and bigger. And all the fishes flopping around on the dry bed of the lake were saying, "Hey, frog, don't be so greedy. We need water too." And the frog just said, and went plopping on his way. And you know, he drank up every pond. He drank up every river. He drank up every lake in that land, and got bigger, and bigger, and bigger, until he just flopped down on top of a mountain, great big belly spreading all over it, and there was no water left in the land. And all the other animals, and the birds, and the fishes, they gathered round, saying, "Frog, give us back our water. We're thirsty." And the frog just said. So what could the animals do? Well, here's what they did. They sent the dingo dog, who's got sharp teeth, to bite a hole in the frog's big swollen belly. And that he did. And out of that hole came pouring all the water. And it ran down the side of that mountain, and it ran into the ponds, and it ran into the rivers, and it ran into the lakes, until all the water was back in the land. And as the water flowed out of its belly, that frog got smaller and smaller and smaller, until he was just the size of a normal frog again. And you know, he was so ashamed of himself for having been so greedy that he couldn't face all those other animals. So he went to hide himself in the sand. And that's where he lives to this day, and only comes out at night time to take a little drink from the pond. And that's how the sand frog got his name.